Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Threesome FPL podcast. Yes, hello there. This is the Fantasy Threesome FPL podcast, the FPL podcast for those who just like to play FPL for fun and don't necessarily need excellent advice. I'm Phil and I'm here with this man. How are you, Anthony?
Good evening, boys. We're back. Who knew?
And no, it's a shock to everyone, including ourselves, that we're
Indeed, it
doing
is.
this after last season, where yet again for the fourth or fifth year in a row, Ant got off to an absolute flyer in fantasy football, over 100 points clear with I don't know 8 games to go or something, and then capitulated. I'm never doing this game again, he said.
And I had every intention to until you messaged about doing a new pod.
Yeah, so fair enough. Thanks for showing your face around here. We're also here with...
No, Mikey, no, Mikey, that was so not right.
Hello, Michael.
Oh, hello there. It's great to be back. It's the comeback that nobody asked for, but delighted to be a part of it.
I genuinely have seen at least 2 requests for us to record again.
As many as that?
As many as that. So we're here. We're going to try and guide you through, try and do a preview podcast for the start of the 24-25 FPL season. This will be on the YouTube as well, if that's your thing. It really is as exciting as staring at me and Mike. Well, Mike's forehead only. There are no fancy graphics or anything like that. But if you prefer to see us when we talk, we're on the YouTube. Just search pod. Right. So not to panic people straight away, but of the three of us, Mike is the one who's claiming to have done the most research here.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess some level of research. I've certainly reshuffled my team at least a dozen times already.
Just today?
Just today. Yeah, I did make 4 changes just now, actually. So,
wow. Yeah.
Some
things don't change.
So for the new listeners, I mean, if there's new listeners, I will eat my hat. But for new listeners, we try and keep things light. We'll often go off on tangents, but it's primarily a fantasy football podcast. Mike is a bit gung-ho with transfers. Ant is particularly dull and boring when it comes to strategy and doesn't like spending any points. And I'm somewhere in between. But I think that mix kind of works. So, oh my goodness, someone's watching along live. This is very exciting.
Wow.
Hello there. Please
you can tell that the Olympics is finished.
The Olympics has finished. Yeah, very, very true. So what we thought we'd do is just quickly go over any things that have changed, both in the game, managerially, players, that sort of thing. Now, the main rule change in the game, for those who have played it historically, you'll know that if you don't use a transfer 1 week, then you can use 2 the next week because you get a free transfer each week. Now, the limit is going up to 5. So you could, in theory, not make a transfer for 4 game weeks, and then you'll have a game week where you can do 5 free transfers. Which
that is music to my slightly large ears.
Exactly. So for Ant, who's a bit stingy with transfers and likes to just wait it out quite a lot, he could end up with lots of mini wildcards throughout the season. So that is a huge change, and that will change the way some people play. I can imagine. Regards player changes, there hasn't been a huge amount of movement. You've got Solanke, who was at Bournemouth, who's just gone to Spurs. We will, no doubt, talk about that. Yeah, but Premier League big moves and big money signings. It's not been a huge amount, has there? Neto's just gone to Chelsea.
Yeah, £54 million. Yeah,
there's not been a load, but there has been, sadly, farewells, players who we've historically really enjoyed having in our teams, like this man. Yeah, Tim Ream's gone to Charlotte FC. So sad times for Tim Ream. And
I actually met somebody from Charlotte FC yesterday.
Did you?
Strange. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing there, but he was at AFC Bournemouth versus Girona. He's wearing a Charlotte FC top.
Wow, that is
he must really like Tim Ream.
Maybe.
So he's gone, and he was a classic budget buy for lots of players. If you include me as being lots of players, but the main thing which I think is going to affect the game this season is managerial changes. Especially, you've got Arne Slot coming in at Liverpool, so you don't quite know how that's going to work. You don't quite know how he's going to play, but it's by all accounts going to be quite attacking. And you've got Maresca coming in at Chelsea. He's come from Leicester, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So
that was a bit of a strange one for me. Leicester so nearly faltered, didn't they? They very, very nearly. I mean, I know they had a strong season, but they so nearly messed it up at the end of the season. And for Chelsea to get rid of Poch when he was just ending the season on a high, that seemed a bit of a weird move for me.
Yeah, agreed.
The issue there is that last season you had standout player Cole Palmer, and he was standout for a number of reasons. One is that he was so cheap, and now he's like 10 million, 10.5? Yeah, 10.5 million. Yeah, so he's jumped up. Last season, I believe he started at 5.5. And he started at 5. And so he's gone up by 5.5 million. Now, he was obviously away with England, who got quite far in the Euros. He's
somehow
only just come back into training, and he's now got a new manager who might use him slightly differently. I don't think that's going to change him being a good player, but for me, I would be worried about having him at the start of the season. I'd kind of like to wait and see on that. That's the issue with the new managers. We don't know how Chelsea is going to work, and we don't know 100% what Liverpool are going to be doing. Is that how you're feeling on it, Mike? What are your views?
Liverpool not so much. I think Chelsea, yes, but it's the price tag to Palmer that puts me off. It was great value previously, but at 10.5, I'm not convinced. And I think if you're looking for Chelsea assets, you mentioned Pedro Neto with a 6.5 million price tag. That to me feels more appealing. It won't be on pens like Palmer is, and he won't be on set plays, but you save yourself 4 million if you want to have a Chelsea asset. I think Chelsea are going to have I would suggest a similar season to last season, in that they'll consistently be inconsistent. Yeah. So I'm not overly excited by Chelsea assets. I looked at Gusto. I had him in my side at 1 point at 5 million. Reece James is it won't surprise you to hear is injured at the moment.
Makes a change.
Tradition. Yeah. So yeah, I'd maybe look at him in terms of Chelsea, but yeah, Palmer at 10.5 feels very pricey.
Okay, so I hear you out there. Palmer's 10.5 seems very pricey. The premium players on the game, you've got Palmer now 10.5, Saka is 10 million, Haaland is 15 million at the start of the season. Son is 10 million, Salah is 12.5 million. So Palmer, I hear you saying that 10.5 million is steep. He missed the first 7 games of last season and still was the highest point scorer in FPL.
Just on Chelsea, they don't have the easiest start in terms of the games, do they? They do start, I think, with Man City at home and then Wolves away. So, with the whole England duty thing as well, do you want to hold fire, I would suggest, on him and wait and see how they do? So, yeah, for me, maybe one to look out for later in the season, but not straight away. And out of those premiums, although he's cheapest with Chelsea's fixtures and the fact that we just don't know what Chelsea are going to be like at the start of the season, especially under a new manager, I wouldn't be going for him, certainly not.
The other one that's an interesting pick in terms of 6.5 mil, another asset. Sorry, excuse me. A Granville is Nkunku, who we all got a bit excited about at the start of the last season when he joined, and suffered a long-term injury. Didn't really come back into the team until the last few weeks of last season, but been scoring goals in pre-season, and it's 6.5 mil, likely to play down the middle. So yeah, again, if you're looking at Chelsea assets, he might be one you want to consider. I've seen him quite a few drafts online.
Crucially, with FN Nkunku, the situation is that last season on the fantasy football game, he was a striker. And this season, he's been moved back into a midfield option.
Yeah.
So you can still have 3 strikers and Nkunku, who's effectively out of position now on FPL. So if Chelsea, if you think, I think Chelsea are going to do all right, and you want some sort of coverage of the Chelsea team in your FPL squad, then of course, then Nkunku, FN Nkunku is absolutely fine as an option, rather than Cole Palmer, who's just coming back. For me personally, I think that's what I'm going to do at this moment. But there will definitely be a time where everyone's rushing to get Cole Palmer in their team if they haven't already. I mean, he's got like 44% ownership at the time of recording. We're recording on Sunday night, Sunday the 11th. So yeah, with Chelsea, it's a funny one. I'd like to wait and see how they play.
Fair enough, fair dues.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, can't disagree with that.
Look, the other change that we haven't mentioned, we've sort of gone off on a bit of a Chelsea tangent there. This is quite all right. We've talked about changes. Is the mystery chip?
Oh, of course, the mystery chip. Yeah. Do you want to explain, Mike? Because no one really knows what it is.
It's not a great deal I could offer you, actually. But just to let you know that chip is there, and we'll find out what it means at some point. A mystery chip.
Yeah, it's a bit random, isn't it?
It is. I think also important to point out, you were talking about the rollover of transfers week on week. If you use your wild card now as well, you retain your transfers that you've stored up.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So that's another nice little touch for the old transferaholics like myself. So, it'll be interesting to see if people play the game, and I guess you alluded to it earlier, in almost bite-sized chunks, knowing that you can make those 5 changes. You can look at 5-week blocks now and target accordingly.
And I feel like they've made the pricing slightly harder, so it's very difficult to get all of the. I mean, it was never easy to get all of the premium players, but they've made it nigh on impossible. So you're going to get a lot of variation in your teams. You've also got new manager in at Brighton, who is Hertzler. Yeah, Fabian Hertzler. And then you've also got Steve Cooper coming in to relegate Leicester. So
yeah.
Poor Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he does well-ish, but I'll be surprised if he's there at the end of the season.
Yeah, nice guy.
Nice
guy. But yeah, for sure, it does look like they're going straight back down again. Almost certainly a points deduction if that's not been confirmed already. And also their main striker on the game is still Jamie Vardy.
Well, yeah, I mean, Daka's been playing a lot in pre-season. If you're tempted with a cheap striker on the game, I think Patson. Okay.
No, thank you. Daka, who certainly signed for Bournemouth last season, do you remember that? But if Leicester are relying on Jamie Vardy, I mean, fair play to him, he's still got it. He's scoring goals in the Championship last season, but not really heard too much on the transfer front from Leicester. So that's an interesting one. I think the relegation battle should actually be really good this season because I think there's a number of clubs who will be in trouble this season,
including Bournemouth without a goal scorer. But
correct. There's nothing like getting into the first week.
Bournemouth have got goal scorers all over the pitch, lads. Don't you worry about that.
They have, but we also have no fit striker as it currently stands, which is slightly worrying going into the first week of the season.
We can play a false 9 like we did yesterday in the pre-season. It's all good.
Okay, I have faith in you, Michael.
Yeah, well, don't have faith in me. I have faith in the squad. It's going to be good.
Okay.
So they're your new managers. But Brighton are an interesting one because for the past couple of seasons they have been like gold mines for cheap points, haven't they? You've had Mitoma, Solly March, Pascal Gross, who's sadly gone. Then you had Estupinan at the back. There's been a lot of points coming from Brighton players, and I'm not seeing Brighton players in many online drafts. I think people are a
Do you
bit.
know what? That's a really good shout. Estupinan was hot property last year, certainly at the outset. I wonder,
They've got.
is he still there?
He is still there.
Possibly. 5 minute injured though.
They have got a tricky start there, boys. They've got Everton away, United home, Arsenal away, first three. They then do get some nicer fixtures with Ipswich and Forest at home back to back, but then end September with Chelsea away and Spurs at home. So, yeah, again, we don't know what Brighton are going to be like under this new manager. You need to hold your cards on any Brighton assets. I think we have no idea on this one, do we? I have no idea what their pre-season results have been like, but that's a tricky little run of fixtures to start the season for Brighton.
I'm going to suggest, lads, that we just work our way through our squads because in terms of position, so let's look at our forwards first and then work our way back. Because actually, in some senses, the forwards, you're probably only looking at a handful. I'd be surprised if we differ that much. But in defence and keeper, I think there's going to be an awful lot of variation. So if that would work for you, lads.
Well,
yeah, let's do it.
You're the boss, so yeah, that's fine. So you want to look at strikers in general or strikers in the teams that we've put forward at the moment?
Why don't we look at the strikers that we've got and why we've gone for them, and then we can look at alternative options that we've maybe kind of got on our watch list, if you like.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you lead us away, Mike, because you.
Well, if you don't mind, I already had him in prior to the transfer, but Dom Solanke now I feel could end up being the most owned player on the game.
Wow, that is a shout. You need to clip that one.
I think fast forward a week and you'll see Solanke as I think he'll be the most owned player in the game.
Oh, this is just ridiculous.
7.5 million represents real value. Real value. 19 goals in the Premier League last season. Only 2 of them were pens.
Yeah.
And he's going into a team that is all out attack. So and will be their main number 9. So for me, Solanke, have either of you boys got him?
Yeah, I do indeed. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Mike. Yeah, I'm not sure about being the most owned player, but yeah, I think it's fortunately for us Bournemouth fans, it's a perfect move for Dom.
He's already the joint most owned on this podcast.
Well, there you go. Like I say, it's a good move for Spurs. Good move, I think. For Dom, unfortunately for us, we've obviously got a shed load of money, so but we need to find a replacement. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think he'll hit the ground running there. Expect him to score in the opening weekend away at Leicester. So he's on my team sheet.
The thing with Solanke, the thing with him is that we're all Bournemouth fans, but as a general rule, I've tried not to own any Bournemouth players because that way I'm going to be happy if Bournemouth do well. So I don't need them in my fantasy football team. If anything, my long-term strategy for years and years has been target Bournemouth players who are playing against Bournemouth. But to be now able to own Solanke, in the same way when it's nice when Wilson's fit, I can own Wilson. It'll be a real treat for me, and I think he'll do very well. Like you say, 19 non-penalty goals puts him right up there in comparison to all the other strikers in the league. He's now owned by nearly 20% of all players on the game.
Watch it rise, lads. Watch it rise. Next up, another one I think is going to be very highly owned is Isak of Newcastle. That home to Southampton game is very tempting in terms of captaincy for me. Have you boys got Isak?
This is very boring, but yes, I do. And, as you say, looking at Newcastle's start to the season, Southampton home, Bournemouth away, Spurs home, Wolves away, Fulham away. Thank you very much and good day. Yeah, Isak. Spoiler alert, I've got no Haaland this season. £15 million he's put me off. So, yeah, it's Isak and Big Dom up front for me.
Yeah,
Phil?
I've got Isak, yeah.
But this is going to be very dull.
Well, it won't because I mean, you've got no Haaland, which means your squad will be decent. I'm very much peaking with my strikers. I can't stress enough. If we'd have done it in reverse order, I would have finished on a high. That is not going to be the case. Thank you very much. Please do listen to our other podcast. Yeah, I've got Haaland. Yep. But Right. So the Isak thing, he hasn't
Yeah.
played over the summer, and he seems to be match fit. He's been scoring a lot in pre-season for Newcastle, and I think that. I mean, Wilson is always getting injured. He'll get minutes. They're not in the Champions League this season. Their opening 2 fixtures are Southampton and Bournemouth. And then you've got Spurs, who last season at least were leaky defensively. Then they've got Wolves and Fulham. They're not terrible opening fixtures. So, that gives you someone you can hold on to for 5 weeks at least before they play Man City. So, yeah, it was a no-brainer for me. And Haaland, likewise, not been playing over the summer, had a good rest, and I think that now Alvarez is out the way, that even more so he's nailed on to start.
What if I told you, Phil, that I could get you a forward £6 million cheaper than that who got more points than Haaland last season?
No, I hear you about Ollie Watkins, but
Yes,
he is, to me, he is the ultimate trap for me in this game. Every time I've owned Ollie Watkins, he has been absolutely dire. And whenever I take him out, he does well. And I'm sure I'll end up with Ollie Watkins at some point in this season because, he has to stop scoring at some point. But at the moment, I haven't got him. I'm unsure. I'm not as confident on Villa doing as well this season.
Okay.
I think they'll tear
They
off.
do well to top last season, to be fair, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And who else have you gone for? You got Watkins?
My third striker is going to make you laugh. All I'll say is, I'll put a caveat to this before you laugh hysterically at this choice. A is they're going to be on the bench because I'm playing 3-5-2. And the other thing is I've utilised my budget as it stands in other areas of the pitch.
Oh,
but
can we guess?
Yes, go for it.
Tell me it's the wood chopper.
No.
It's not the wood chopper.
I was speaking to my brother-in-law just last night about this, and he has put Chris Wood in at £6 million. Very excited by their fixture run at the start of the campaign. Bournemouth home, Southampton away, Wolves home for Forest.
It's a good little run. No, I've gone for Jamie Vardy, 48 years old.
Wow.
And he still knows where the net is. There you go, boys. 5.5 million. He's always having a party, that boy. So, yeah. This is likely to change.
That guy wants to be on your bench because they have got a dreadful run of games to start with.
Well, yeah, Spurs, Fulham away, Villa home. Not horrendous, but not great either. So, he's very much on my bench. But don't worry, boys. My team doesn't get better as we go.
I've got a feeling Jamie Vardy is injured at the moment.
Not according to what I can see, mate.
Oh, okay. I thought that's 5%
why of people agree with me. So, let's see.
5%?
A whopping 5%.
Oh, bad news. One day ago, Patson Daka suffers injury to exacerbate Leicester City's issues. Oh, okay.
Oh dear. Do we want to go through midfield, boys?
I do, but I just wonder if you've got any honourable mentions because I've got one.
I've got 2.
Okay, so my first one is Nicholas Füllkrug, who has joined from Dortmund to West Ham. 7 million was really decent for them in the Champions League last season. He's getting on now, 31 years old, but plays that target man role very, very well. You saw him do that in the Euros this summer. At 7 million, I'm just sort of going to just keep an eye on him really and see how he settles in. But like the look of him,
he's going to be a cult. He's going to be a cult hero, isn't he? That guy.
Yeah, I think so.
He suits West Ham. I think he's going to be. Yeah, he's going to be a fun player to watch. Lopetegui, obviously another new manager in at West Ham. Whether there'll be, the clamour to get rid of David Moyes was because they wanted more attacking football. So, Lopetegui was hardly exciting at Wolves, was he?
No, they were fairly dull, weren't they? But yeah, they've signed Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think, this weekend as well, haven't they? So West Ham making some late moves in the transfer market. Again, a good one to keep an eye on, West Ham. So should we have a little look at their fixtures just in case there's anything appealing about them? Villa home, Palace away, Man City home, Fulham away, and Chelsea home. Again, not the easiest start.
Mixed bag.
The other honourable mention I'd like to give to, go on, you go first. So I don't want to steal your thunder.
Right. So honourable mention number 1 is Kai Havertz, 8 million. Certainly, if like me, you are struggling to get an Arsenal player in your team because of budget, Kai Havertz, 8 million on the game. He started playing a lot better the back end of last season. They start with Wolves, Villa, and Brighton as their first 3 fixtures. I just think not many people have got him. 14% on the game have got Kai Havertz, and he actually could be a really good asset. He got 13 goals, 10 assists last season for an £8 million player. It's not terrible.
Yeah. All right. I'll give you that. And you have her?
Well, this is Gakpo at Liverpool, 7.5 million. He's obviously only just got back to training. He's appeared in a couple of friendlies for Liverpool. But my theory is that Slot is Dutch, so is Gakpo. Maybe he will play over Diaz, who was for a long time involved in the Copa America. I mean, Diaz, I think, scored twice today in a friendly, which has kind of put me off Gakpo being my punt up front. But I think if Gakpo can produce that form that he did in the Euros, in my opinion, he's probably the best player in the Euros. He had a great tournament. They start with Ipswich, Brentford, and then Man United. Liverpool do.
Okay.
None of you tempted by Neil Mopé?
No.
He's back at Everton now, isn't he?
Yeah, 1.5% ownership. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, one I will actually be avoiding for the entire season this year, boys. I can promise you that.
Okay.
For new listeners and as a long-standing love affair with Neil Mopé. 2 quick mentions. I know you've got Vardy there. You say 5.5 and
5.5.
For that extra half, I think there's some good value in 2 players. One would be Tayo Awoniyi, who only played just over 1,000 minutes, so the equivalent of 11 games last time out, but scored 6 goals. And the other one is Muniz of Fulham, who showed some form last year, and again has a good run of fixtures, as we mentioned. Fulham, the opening few are decent. So if you're looking for something in terms of if you want to go Haaland and then a mid and then a budget, then those 2 might well be worth a look.
Okay.
Right, midfield then. I'll just rattle them off as I go. Then
reel off all 5, and then we'll debate them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Antoine Semenyo.
Oh, that's a nice shout.
Luis Diaz, Anthony Gordon, Bruno Fernandes, and Eberici Eze.
I see girls.
Where would you like to start, lads?
I would
Eze.
like. Eze.
The rumours he's going to Spurs, isn't there?
Spurs. No.
That's what I'd heard.
There's also rumours that Zaha might be coming back. I mean, the worry of Eze is he was such a better player with Elise in the team, and I worry that there's too much responsibility on his shoulders in terms of moving forward in attack. But yeah, like 7 million, I feel like he'll be on pens, he'll be on a lot of set plays, in a team that were playing some quite expansive football last season. How much of a difference the loss of Elise makes to that, I don't know. Have either of you got him, lads?
Yeah, I've got Eze. The only thing I'm slightly worried about is Mateta is he's only just finished playing in the Olympics with France, so Mateta I assume won't be back for the first game at least. And he linked up quite well with Mateta, so whether that means first game of the season, he's not going to be quite the same. They've got Brentford at home, then West Ham, then Chelsea, then Leicester, then Man United. That's Crystal Palace's fixtures.
It's not a bad run for them, is it? The first 5.
Yeah, for 7 million. What I've noticed on midfielders this season, there isn't much good below 7 million this year. With the exception of perhaps Nkunku, I would suggest your midfielders have been overpriced to allow for variation in the game.
Let me talk to you about Antoine Semenyo then. Absolute powerhouse moving forward. Really came into his own last season. It's a breakthrough year for him. We've seen a loss at Bournemouth for Solanke. Unai, not entirely fit. hasn't played in the last 2 pre-season friendlies. It feels to me that Semenyo will almost certainly start and will almost certainly start through the middle.
And how much is Semenyo?
5.5 million.
Is that the same price?
As,
is that the same price as Clivert? Because I was looking at putting Clivert in.
It's the same price as Jamie Vardy.
Looks like Clivert's going to be on pens as well, judging by the weekend.
Clivert is 5.5, and I wouldn't take too much into that because that'll be discussed. I mean, real insight for you here, pre-season insight. Both Clivert and Semenyo were squabbling over who was going to take the penalty. It obviously hadn't been decided because because it would normally be Solanke, and he'd only left that morning. So they were squabbling on the pitch as to who was going to take it. Now Clivert did take it. I imagine that will be ironed out ahead of the season proper. But yeah, you've got Clivert at 5.5. You've got Semenyo at 5.5. You've got Sinistera at 5, who has been playing very, very well pre-season and in amongst the goals. So, if you're looking for value, actually, Bournemouth offer you quite a bit, I think, in terms of the fact that they do play the high press. They do like to attack. So there could be some options there for you.
And actually, with Dom going, the goals have got to come from somewhere else.
Yeah,
and like you say,
and I think they will. I think they'll just be a slightly different style of play, certainly in the short term.
I really like Semenyo. I was just going to say, I agree with you, Mike. Semenyo was fantastic last season, wasn't he? What they say, standout player, and you like to say, he's an absolute powerhouse. So, Bournemouth, we haven't got the nicest of starts there, have we? Really, fixture-wise.
No.
Forest away, Newcastle home, Everton away, Chelsea home, Liverpool away. So that would be the only thing that would put me off slightly, I think.
I mean,
I just think if you're looking to find somebody sub-6.
I mean, most sub-6 million midfielders are going to be your 5th midfielder, right?
Yeah.
So they may not. A lot of people will be playing a 3-4-3 formation on FPL, so they may well be on the bench anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to pick apart my other 3? So Luis Diaz, we've already touched on, scored a couple today. The only worry is that he's just come back from the Copa America. But for me, hey, hear me out on this. I think a better option than Salah. I think he'll score more points than Salah this season.
You heard it here first.
Okay.
I think Salah is a spent force.
Okay. Now, I know as someone who did have long hair and then cut it short and then, felt like he'd ruined his life doing so. I know that Salah's going to be struggling right now. Yeah. And he'll have a point to prove because people will think he's cut his hair. Now he's going to be rubbish. But hear me out. At the start of the season, now I've got Salah in my team.
Mm-hmm.
And that is purely because I'm looking around at the Liverpool assets and I don't know how it's going to go yet. They got Diaz, Gakpo, Jota, and I don't know how that's going to work and who's going to be playing for them. So I know it is highly likely that Salah will be starting. So my tactic, if you will, is to play Salah and then over the first sort of 3 or 4 weeks, work out who's seemingly a starter for Liverpool and then transfer Salah out to that player. And then I'll have some money to spread around the team as well.
It's a lot of money to have tied up, though, for those first few weeks.
I know, but those first few weeks, they play Ipswich at home. Ipswich away, Brentford at home, Man United away. Then they've got a double header of Forest and Bournemouth at home. So I want Liverpool coverage and I want a Liverpool player who I know is going to start. Salah hasn't been away at a tournament. So it just makes sense to me that although it's a lot of money tied up right at the start of the season, and doing Salah and Haaland leaves me, as you'll see with my defence, a bit vulnerable. It just means that I've got a player who I am is as nailed on as a player can be for Liverpool.
I mean, there's potentially some real value when you look outside of Salah in midfield. There's some real value. So you've got Jota at 7.5. I know Bethany was in touch on Twitter with regards to him. He's back in the midfield slot. So 7.5 there. You've got Szoboszlai at 6.5. You've got Elliott at 5.5. So, yeah, I mean, he'll rotate them. McAllister will be involved as well. I guess, like you say, that's the only difficulty. I think Diaz will start week in, week out. I can't see how he won't.
Well, the issue would be Gakpo, because him and Gakpo will be vying over the same position, right? You've got, I mean, Darwin. I don't know what's going to happen with Darwin Núñez. You know, he got quite a bit of abuse last year for not being able to score goals. But you never know with a different manager. You know, a bit more confidence, new start. If he hits the ground running, then if Núñez becomes nailed on, that means you've got less positions for Jota and Diaz and Gakpo to go for, you know. And I think Elliott, I think this could be a fantastic season for him.
Yeah,
he's 5.5 on the game.
5.5.
Yeah. But again, I want to see him starting some games, and then I can, you know, if you make a transfer from Salah to Elliott, you got 7 million.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly everyone jumps on. I mean, it's not necessarily definitely going to happen. Don't get me wrong, but if Elliott starts the first 2 games in an attacking role, suddenly that opens up a lot of money for a lot of players.
Suddenly, can I ask you to name 3 songs with the name "Suddenly" in the title?
Suddenly by the guy that used to be. Don't tell me his name. The guy that used to be in Neighbours. Maguire.
No.
Maguire. EastEnders. Maguire. Someone Maguire.
He was Aiden in EastEnders.
Suddenly, it was Maguire. What was his first name?
Not Harry.
God.
It's Harry's brother.
It wasn't. Sean Maguire. Right.
Sean Maguire.
So Sean Maguire. You got Suddenly I See by Katie Tunstall, which weirdly I heard on the radio today.
Very good. Just need one more from you.
Yeah, you do.
Can I name one?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, Ant.
Suddenly by Angry Anderson, which was also the song used in the Neighbours wedding film, which I would have expected you to get that, Phil. That's poor.
Just that was the way I am.
What a tune that is.
The theme tune to Scott and Charlie's wedding in Neighbours, and it was the music that me and my wife walked back down the aisles from. So,
Mike, you can't hear any of the music I'm playing because you're currently searching Google on your phone. But I've got a whole load of Aussie things. What do you want to hear? Let's go for this.
I'm proud of you, Cam. You're doing well down there.
Paul Robinson, everyone from Neighbours.
Can't hear it, but I'm sure it was great.
Yep.
All right, this guy's going to be owned a lot. Like I say, nearly a third of players have got him already. 7.5 million. Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, he's in my team.
He's in my team. Okay. Newcastle's fixtures are good, as we covered. Yeah, he's well rested from the from not playing in the Euros. So yeah, I expect him to hit the ground running. Fingers crossed.
And then
the interesting one, Mike. Someone who I notice always starts the season well, and you've gone for him. I can't afford him. Is Bruno Fernandes?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He just picks up points.
He's so annoying. And again, United under Ten Hag this season. What are we going to get this time? I mean, it's normally the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it, Manchester United? But fair play to them, actually. They played pretty well yesterday, didn't they, in the Community Shield? So who knows? But
he's cheaper this year. He's 8.5 million. They've got a decent fixture run. Fulham, Brighton, Liverpool, Southampton, Palace, Spurs. It's not awful. And he just tends to start the season well. Him and Salah, for years, have started the season incredibly well. So, yeah, I'm a bit jealous that you've got him, despite the fact that I do hate him as a human being.
Okay. Have you got what midfielders have you got then outside? We've talked about Salah. Outside of the guys that we've talked about already, who have you got and why?
Well, let's hear what Ant's got, because he, as he said on air, just before we came on air, I put it together just earlier. So what have you got, Ant?
My 5 are Son, De Bruyne.
Oh.
Son I never normally have and always miss out on points because I don't have him. So this year I want to start with him. De Bruyne, Anthony Gordon, as we've covered there. I've gone for Diego Jota at 7.5 million as it stands. I think and hope he'll play. And then Martin Odegaard. So I normally have Saka as my mainstay. My mainstay last season. One I never normally go for is Odegaard. So I've mixed up a bit this season. And they've got a nice little fixture run to start the season, Arsenal. So including a nice
Arsenal feel like they've got a good game followed by a tough game, followed by a good game, followed by a tough game.
Yeah,
pretty much.
They have.
Yeah.
They have. They got Wolves. Wolves, Villa, Brighton, Spurs, Man City. So yeah, there's some tough games in there. But yeah, I like Martin Odegaard, and again, missed out on points from not having him previously. I quite like my spread of the value there across my midfield. So De Bruyne is probably the only one, maybe. But I don't know, boys. Do you think he'll start straight away?
So Alvarez is obviously gone. So that means that he will play more minutes. He played the fewest minutes of the main City midfielders last year, and he's getting older. He's more injury prone, but he seems fit at the moment. Start the season, him and Haaland, they got good fixtures. I'm a bit envious that you've got De Bruyne. I don't think, I think you'll end up having to transfer him out a bit because when he gets injured, you can't have those funds lying on the bench. What I find most interesting about your team is that you're one of those who's got no Haaland and no Salah, right?
Correct.
So you've got, not in a horrible way,
I've also got no Haaland, no Salah.
Yes, high five, Mike.
Goodness, that's interesting. So, whereas I've got both, but so you boys have gone for squad quality over, the odd standout performance, right?
The rest of your team on paper, Phil, must be pretty atrocious. I mean, you're talking. Well, you're taking 27 million out, right, with those two players. So you only get 100 million. So I mean, you've got to have some 4 million players in there. Quite a lot of your squad. I'm really interested to hear what your midfield is because you've really put your eggs into 2 baskets here.
Okay, so before we hit you, Phil, I just
please don't hit me. But yeah,
well, okay. It's really interesting, and that you've gone for De Bruyne over Foden, and they're both priced the same. Whereas most people have gone Foden over De Bruyne. 24% ownership on Foden as we record, and 7% for De Bruyne.
And I think I had done the right thing because Foden will have only just got back. I doubt Foden will start the first game.
He was terrible in the Euros by his very high standards. And De Bruyne is one. I've been a little bit like Southgate here. I've kept the faith with the players that have done well for me in the past, and De Bruyne is definitely one of those.
Foden last year outperformed what he should have got. Do you know what I mean? I think he scored some very good goals that were absolute like pearlers, but they're one-offs. I think to repeat that again this season, he doesn't get many easy chances, but he finishes the difficult ones. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure consistently whether Foden is going to be great. He will have weeks where he's fantastic. De Bruyne is just a points machine when he's fit. So I think start of the season you're better off with Foden.
Okay, let's scrape the bottom of the barrel and hear about your midfielders, Phil.
Okay, like I say, my midfield I don't think is terrible, but my defense I've picked 2 players simply because their names rhyme. So
wouldn't expect any different.
So midfield, I've gone Morgan Rogers. He's my 5th midfielder.
Oh,
right. Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers. He signed last year from Middlesbrough. He was on loan at Bournemouth at one point, and
he was terrible.
Didn't look like a good footballer at all. So it's weird that Villa signed him, but then he did well. Scored 3 goals and got 1 assist in 8 games. Not too bad. They've got rid of Diaby this year, which opens up another space. Bailey is another option at Villa, but Bailey's more expensive. So Morgan Rogers is only 5 million. And I'm not the only one thinking Morgan Rogers is decent because he's got an 8% ownership on the game. So Morgan Rogers is my 5th midfielder. I don't think this is too bad. I've got Nkunku because I want some Chelsea coverage and I think he's going to play up front. And so he's going to be Chelsea starting striker for 6.5 million as a midfielder on the game. I can't see any problem there. Eze, I've got at 7 million. He is the one that I could take out and use his funds to improve my defense. Salah, and I've got Gordon.
Okay. All right. Well, we've discussed all of those players, so that covers us off.
Honourable mentions in midfield then? We kind of discussed Palmer at the start. He's now a premium asset. Got the most points of anyone last year, 10.5 million. He's the most owned midfielder on the game at the moment as well.
Oh, gosh. Anthony, you okay?
I just dropped my phone, boys. I do apologise.
Oh, gosh, okay. I would keep an eye on Garnacho at
Yep.
6.5 million. He seems to be a nailed-on starter now, so yeah, I think he might well offer some value. Neto, we mentioned already with the move to Chelsea, again at 6.5.
What
Outside
about
of that,
Gibbs White? Okay, hear me out. He's a steady asset. Last year he got 5 goals, 12 assists. He's 6.5 million on the game. He starts with games against Bournemouth, Southampton, and Wolves. He's nailed on to start. He's their talisman. 6.5 million. I don't think
I really
it's
rate him. I
bad.
think he's a great player. And I think at that kind of value, with that fixture on to start with, you could do worse than having him in your team to start the season.
The other one that I'm interested in, but I want to wait a game, is last year. If you had seen it, if you had seen Martinelli at 7 million at the start of last year, everyone would have had him. But back end of last year, he got dropped for Trossard, and it's just whether he's going to gain his place back. But he's one to watch out for, Martinelli.
I've got 2 players, lads, that have made moves in the summer and have been scoring pre-season. One is Brereton Diaz, who's gone to Southampton, and there's every chance he'll play as their main striker at 5.5 million. Just putting that out there.
He's down as a midfielder on the game,
but will play striker.
Okay.
I scored a lot of goals prior to going to a pretty ill-fated spell at Villarreal, where he played 20 times and didn't manage to score a goal, but was top scorer in the Championship the season prior. Yes, my love.
He plays for Southampton.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Okay, no,
Thank
fine.
You,
no, understood.
That's my technical input.
The other one, with only 1% ownership, but scored a hat-trick yesterday in pre-season, and that is Crescencio Somerville, who has moved from Leeds, was player of the season for Leeds last year, 6 mil. Will he start in the West Ham midfield? That's the question, because if he does,
yes,
6 million seems to be good value.
Can I throw another name in the hat?
Please.
Again, low ownership, 6.5 million. Brennan Johnson in that Spurs team. I think he'll start. I really like him. I think he's a brilliant player. Really rated him when he was at Forest. Again, I suppose there is question marks possibly if he's going to start, but if he does, I think he would offer some real good value.
I would suggest the issue there is that Kulusevski has had a really good preseason and traditionally has played on the right, but during preseason he's played up top as well. Spurs have got Son, Kulusevski, Johnson, Werner, Bentancur, all sort of vying. Oh, and Maddison, all vying for attacking positions, as well as Solanke now. Some of these players aren't going to be playing week in, week out. You've got Richarlison there as well. I just think Johnson may well be an impact sub. That'd be my fear. I like him as a player. I think he's great, but I wouldn't want to spend 6.5 million on someone unless they're going to start for sure. You look at other midfielders that are 6.5 million, and you've got Garnacho, you've got Kudos at West Ham, you've got Kulusevski himself. I think he'll do well. Ward-Prowse at West Ham, the forgotten man Matoma at Brighton. Neto, who is obviously on the game, is still saying Wolves, but he will be a Chelsea player. Yeah, I don't know about Johnson. And then Nkunku, obviously. Fair. Even Smith Rose, 5.5 million, gone from Arsenal to Fulham, scored in 2 preseason games.
There's a few players there that have got me questioning my Eze.
Yeah.
Because I could, if I was to swap out Semenyo and Eze, I'd have 12.5 million there that I could play. I could have a Neto and a Somerville, for example.
Yeah. Or Smith Rowe and whoever, yeah.
Not convinced by Smith Rowe personally, but
I think it just seems like a nice boy.
No, I'm sure he is. But
got the same
Barack
first
Obama, and he's not available to play.
He's got the same first name as Heskey. That can only be a good thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to look at defenders, boys?
Yes,
do
please.
we? I'm happy to stop here.
I mean, my defense, I've gone, as I always do at the start of the season, big at the back.
Have you? That is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let me talk you through it. The first one is Gabriel from Arsenal. Now, Gabriel had the highest XG of all Arsenal defenders, and they love a clean sheet at Arsenal. So he is pricey at 6 mil. But Arsenal now, when you're talking about Arsenal, you're talking about probably the team that's going to keep the most clean sheets this season. You know, they are a premium club now. Want to come at me on that?
Yeah, I will if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Right. You've now got Calafiori, who's signed for Arsenal. They spent a fortune on him. It is clear that the start of last season, Arteta didn't want to play Gabriel.
That was clear. You're right.
He played Saliba with someone else, but then Timber got injured. Oh, bless you, Timber. It's going to be like a new signing, isn't it? Yeah, so Timber is going to be like a new signing. Mike, I just played his song.
I assume that was what was happening. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So Gabriel is the same price as Saliba. In my eyes, Saliba is the nailed-on one of the two. And I know that Gabriel is more of a threat at set pieces, but he's not a threat if he doesn't play.
Fair. Okay. Next up, guys. Every first game of the season, I've got him on my side. Our old friend, Trent Alexander-Arnold, at £7 million. Yeah, I've gone for it.
So expensive.
Yeah, I've done it.
Liverpool got such good fixtures, haven't they?
They have got good fixtures, and I'm interested to see how he plays in the new slot style. So I've got him in there, and he's one where some serious cash can be freed up if I need it, because my defence is pretty strong. Next up, Pedro Porro, proving very popular.
Wow, you have spent a lot of money on defenders.
You really have.
I'm not finished yet, mate.
Okay.
Pedro Porro, 30% ownership. My only worry here would be lack of clean sheets. So Pedro Porro started 28 times last season, only kept 7 clean sheets.
It's not ideal. He did score 3 goals and got 8 assists.
Yeah, he's on corners. So, yeah, I don't know. But I've got him in there. The other one that I liked, and actually, no, the other one I liked, I don't want to rain on anyone else's parade, really, but was Destiny Udogie. But Udogie only kept 5 clean sheets in 22 games. So, yeah, and Porro was by far the more attacking. So for the extra $500,000, I've gone Porro.
Porro got 20 bonus points last year as well.
Well, there you go. Next up, I've got Gavardio of Manchester City.
Goodness me.
I know what you're thinking. Mike, how have you managed to fit all these players in squad and stay in budget? Well, I have.
I can only assume you've got no goalkeepers.
Oh, but you're so wrong. You wait and see. So Gavardio suddenly became Roberto Carlos in the last few weeks of last season. Let's not do that again. But he did, and he's back in training. He's played pre-season, thanks to Croatia crashing out fairly early doors of the Euros. I think he's going to be a nailed-on starter, as nailed-on as you can be in a pet team. So I've got him there at 6, and then finally, this one is slightly left field, but I really like him. Loved watching him in the Championship last season. Leif Davis of Ipswich. He is a left back, and he had the most assists in the Championship last season.
I don't think he'll quite get that with Ipswich getting promoted to the Premier League, but any set pieces and stuff, he's going to be on those, isn't he? So yeah. So for 4.5 of the 4.5 million options, I just thought it was a bit different, and he might surprise a few people.
Okay,
but so the most assists in the Championship.
Yeah.
Back.
Great asset. Again, didn't look great at Bournemouth. So say that you listen to me and swap out Gabriel for Saliba just for a bit more, safety.
Yeah.
Just in case Gabriel doesn't start. That would mean you've got the 4 most owned defenders on the game.
Boom.
Well, it's boom if that was a competition, but it's not.
But I've also got a brilliant midfield and brilliant front three.
What was your midfield and front three again? Run us through. Well, no, run through the whole team at the end again. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so they're your 5 defenders.
They're my 5 defenders. Who else have you got, lads, in amongst yours?
Well, I've got none of your 5.
Okay.
I've got only one, which is Guardiola. My other 4 are Konsa from Villa, a man who probably won't start the first game. Bear in mind their fixture, but a man who was probably one of the surprises of the Euros, part of the winning team. Was like a man possessed. Marco Cucurella, a left back.
Yeah, I looked at him at 5 million.
Yeah,
Lovely hair.
Our good friend Milos Kirkes there at 4.5 million. Good old Kirks.
That boy has got. Let me tell you, that boy has got a booking in him.
Yeah, he loves a booking, which is exactly what I got him.
He's a terrific talent.
And then a player who I just needed a £4 million defender. I'd never heard of him, but he's got 12.9% ownership. So I presume people know more than I do or know something. Taylor Harwood Bellis. Any of you heard of him?
I have, mate. He's just a 4 mil blocker that'll start every week, isn't he?
There you go. So there's my 5.
Saints, though, mate.
Double standards over there.
Yeah, it's just Brereton Diaz. There you go. There's my 5.
Wow. I mean, I haven't got. I've only got one defender in common with both of you.
Is it Kirkes?
No, you're surprisingly not. It's Ezri Konsa, because he at set pieces is incredibly dangerous and gets on so many of them. So Ezri Konsa, and then the player I've got who sounds just like him is Quansah at Liverpool. So I've got Konsa and Quansah because I've taken a punt. I've taken a punt on him starting. Now Quansah is one of my most expensive defenders, so pipe down if you will.
Who do you think the back 4 is going to be for Liverpool, Phil?
So I think you're going to have Trent.
Right.
I think you're going to have Van Dijk.
Yeah.
And I think alongside Van Dijk, you're going to have Jarell Quansah. I think he's a good player.
Rather than Joe Gomez?
Yeah. I think Gomez has had... We've all had fun with Joe Gomez, but I think Quansah, I think he'll play.
Okay.
So on the off chance that he does, then I've put him in. If he doesn't play, don't worry, because I've got other defenders to fall back on of similar quality to Quansah.
Come on.
So I'll start with the best player I've got in my defence, and that is Anthony Robinson of Fulham.
Okay.
6 assists last season. He is up and down that wing constantly.
How much does he feel? 4.5?
4.5, my most expensive defender, along with Konsa and Quansah. So
you know what? I don't mind that as a pick, because, like you say, he does assist, and Fulham's fixtures are strong. First block.
Man United away, then they got Leicester, Ipswich, West Ham. So not terrible, and he doesn't have to start every week for me. But when you've got backup like this, Wout Faes from Leicester, lovely hair.
Also loves the booking.
He's got a rick in him. Loves a booking.
He certainly has.
So I mean, quite often you'll see him after a goal on the floor thumping it, and that is the sort of player I needed in my defence.
He'll be doing a lot of that, I can tell you, with Leicester.
At 4 million, and it's not just me. 8.4% of people have got him on the game, which I'm staggered by. Then I've got doping addict Ben Johnson of Ipswich. Now,
of course.
£4 million again. Selected by 2% of the players on the game. He's come in from West Ham, and I thought he was unlucky not to get many opportunities at West Ham. Let's face it, Ipswich start the season with Liverpool and Man City as their first 2 games. So they must be really grateful to the Premier League for that. But, he's my 5th defender, but I've gone budget at the back, quality everywhere else. That is what happens if you've got Salah and Haaland. You can't have incredible defense. So, like I said, when I see who's actually starting for Liverpool, Salah won't be there. I will have switched over to either Gakpo or Diaz or whoever, and then my defense can be improved, and hopefully I'll be able to get in the likes of Gvardiol, Saliba. I may end up with Dan Burn because I love him, but I don't.
Okay.
I think Dan Burn. The thing is with Dan Burn, for those who also love him, is that he may end up starting centre back rather than left back this season because Botman's still injured, and so is Jamal Lascelles. So someone's got to be centre back along with Shah, who is an honourable mention, really. Fabian Shah, he is always nailed on to start when he's fit, and he can score goals and get assists.
Okay.
And
Fair.
who would your honourable mentions be, Amp?
It's got to be Kirkez, isn't it? Bit of a no, it wouldn't be. Cucurella for me, boys. I think he could be.
That's not an honourable mention. You've already got him.
I mean, it's just
Oh.
another mention. That's not how honourable mentions work.
Any other honourable mentions? No.
Oh,
Cheers, Ant. Cheers, Ant. Thanks.
There you go.
So-
would you be tempted by Kieran Trippier though? In all seriousness, would you be tempted by Kieran Trippier at 6 million, or is he just too much?
I just don't know if he's going to start.
He surely will.
I'm looking at Lewis Hall and Livramento, and I
I
Trippier
think
played a lot in the summer.
Livramento is only 4.5 million, lads.
Yeah.
Tempting.
If he starts the first game, there'll be a lot of people like me having to give up Jarrell Quansah and bring him in.
Yeah, okay. I had a couple of other 5 million picks. I've mentioned already Gusto, who's been in and out. The other one for me is Maatsen. Ian Maatsen, who's joined Villa after his season at Dortmund last year.
Yeah.
They paid a lot of money for him, and he was terrific on loan at Burnley 2 seasons back. I believe he was certainly in the team of the season, may have even been the player of the season. Yeah, really like him. Gets forward very, very well. As quick as lightning. So yeah, him at 5 million, definitely on the old watch list.
What are your views then? So Everton are nothing if they're not dull. So Branthwaite has gone up in price. He was like 4 million at the start of last year. He's now 5 million. But he could get a move to a bigger club in the Premier League, which gives him even better value, perhaps. But Everton do have a capacity to keep a clean sheet. He started 35 games last year.
Mikalenko.
I hear you.
Sorry, I thought it was a cow there for a start.
I didn't know where you were going with it. I didn't know what button to cover off. I was panicking over here. But yeah, I hear you with Mikalenko, and I like the Mikalenko pick as well. Branthwaite, I think, has got more goal threat, but not the assist threat of Mikalenko.
Well,
both are good options. There's some good 4.5 options this year.
There are.
I mean, Branthwaite is 5 million.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be going Guehi. I think a lot of people have gone for Guehi just because he had a good tournament with England.
The only reason I'd go for Guehi is because he's almost certainly going to end up at Newcastle in the next couple of weeks.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. Van der Ven is 4.5 million at Spurs. But
he'll start every week, won't he? But they don't keep clean sheets, as I've alluded to already. That's difficult.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It doesn't offer an awful lot going forward.
Yeah, that is fair. I think Gusto's a bit of a trap. I don't think he was fantastic last year. He got six.
Okay.
He got six assists for all the hype. He got 6 assists.
Won their player of the season, but
well, I mean, they had a terrible season. He won their player of the season. Cole Palmer didn't win their player of the season.
Oh, I think I might have. Anyway, right, goalies. I think he won their Junior Blues player of the season. No.
Yeah. Well,
moving on.
probably best.
I believe the question you asked rhetorically was, surely you've got two dreadful goalkeepers given the amount of money you spent in your defence. Well, let me tell you, I'm on the rotation, lads. I've got 2 keepers. I'm going to be swapping them in alternate weeks. I've looked at the fixtures. I've got Areola of West Ham and I've got Raya of Arsenal. How has he done it? They're asking.
How have you done it? We are wondering.
No, but I have.
Well, I'm not wondering it because who was your strikers?
Solanke, Watkins, and Isak.
And who was your midfield?
Okay, I mean, my midfield was Eze, Fernandez, Gordon, Diaz, Semenyo.
So your
It's
most
Semenyo there, freed out.
your most expensive player is Watkins at 9 million.
Yeah.
So that's how
I
you
like
buy.
it though. It's a nice balance. It's a nice
Yeah.
balance, Mike. I like that
It's-
team. It's good.
It's balanced. It's a balanced diet of FPL.
So let me tell you the way that the fixtures work then. So we start with Raya, Wolves at home. We swap to Areola, Palace away. We move back to Arsenal, home to Brighton. We go to Palace, Fulham away. We've got Leicester at home with Arsenal. Then we've got Brentford away with West Ham. Then we've got Bournemouth at home. And then we've got Nottingham Forest away. That, my friends, is rotation.
Right. Okay. So there's always this debate with goalkeepers. Do you get two and rotate them, or do you just get one and stick and just deal with whatever happens? Now, rotation I find incredibly frustrating because there will be numerous weeks where you will have lots of points on the bench from your goalkeeper and none from your goalkeeper you started.
Who is that? I mean, what is this beeping?
It's
me.
Anthony.
Apologies. I've just put my phone on silent.
It's popular.
He's on MSN Messenger chatting up people. Yeah.
It's actually my wife saying, please be quiet.
I mean, the irony. We had to start this podcast again earlier. A little peek behind the curtain, folks. Because there was just chatter in the background.
Do apologise.
No, please don't. There won't be points on my bench because in those weeks, if you want me to do the alternate weeks, Phil,
no, Dad, you know what?
Just really, I'm going to do it. Villa, Man City, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man City. Then we've got an Ipswich and a Bournemouth. But yeah, basically, there won't be a lot of points on my bench.
Goalkeepers can get save points, though, mate.
They can get save points, yeah. But they're going to get clean sheet points.
They can get save points. They can get bonus points. They get clean sheet points. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced.
You're not convinced of those keepers, or you're not convinced of the rotation?
Areola, in my opinion, you've got him because you know he's got a humorous name. I think
I've got him. I've got him because Lopetegui is the manager, and he plays a fairly defensive style, and he's only 4.5.
Okay, is he nailed on to start?
Yes.
Okay, what? Because Moyes decided that he didn't want Fabianski.
Well, not just Fabianski. There are three keepers at West Ham vying for the spot, aren't there?
Yeah, well, I'm asking you.
Well, there are. So
okay, if you've got so the alternate option from doing alternating keepers is to just suck it and see with one keeper. I've gone Pickford, and then a budget 4 million keeper. I've gone for Turner purely because it's not like I'm going to have 3 Nottingham Forest players in my team at once, so it won't block a Liverpool player or something. But I've got Pickford. You know he'll keep some clean sheets, and you know he'll get plenty of save points because Everton play that way. In the same way, when gravelly voice whose name is completely shot out of my head at Everton. When Dyche was at Burnley, you'll note that Pope got 1 million save points because the way that he plays is he encourages teams to shoot from distance, and then the keepers get easy save points. He didn't do it for the save points. I mean, much as that would have been nice of Sean Dyche, but that's what happened. And that's what happened with Pickford last year. He got lots of save points. So I've just gone Pickford. He's 5 million. And then I've got a 4 million on the bench. You've gone for a 5 million and a 4.5, have you, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I've got a 5.5 and a 4.5.
Wow, that is Raya is 5.5. You won't get you many save points, but
got the Golden Glove award last year.
No.
I mean, that might have been voted for by the junior gunners, but I'm pretty confident he got the Golden Glove award.
Yeah, the thing is,
yes,
in my heart of hearts, I prefer to see Ramsdale there, so I can celebrate.
Me too.
Raya. Yeah,
me too.
I don't know who Ant's got, and we'll get onto that. But if you're really going budget, and you've got an even worse situation than I have at the back, I've gone exuberant with a 5 million Pickford, but there's a couple of 4.5 million keepers worth a mention who should start. Flecken at Brentford. Jose Sarr has gone down to 4.5 million at Wolves. And they have a horrendous start to the season. But if you want to alternate 4.5 million keepers, then feel free. Obviously, you've got Areola, funny name, could be good. Chelsea have got like 8 goalkeepers, so we don't know who's going to start for them.
Yeah, frustrating one that.
But yeah, certainly you've got Flecken and you've got Jose Sarr. Why can't I say that? Jose Sarr, who could both start, and they're 4.5 million keepers if you're needing budget. And who have you gone for? I'm going that you've gone for Alisson Becker.
I think he's
No.
gone for Martinez.
No. I've gone for Nick Pope.
Oh, he was my next guess.
And I'm really hoping, you said about Chelsea goalkeepers, I'm hoping it's Roger Sanchez.
Oh, if I had
Sanchez.
another chance.
Yeah, 4.5
I don't
million,
think
he's
he
on my
does
bench.
have another chance. I really don't.
No.
I think Nick Pope is a great shout.
Thank
we
you.
know he's a very good goalkeeper. He'll get saves. If I had Nick Pope, I certainly wouldn't be spending 4.5 million on a second keeper. Especially, so you've got Sanchez on the bench.
Yeah.
It's just so random.
Why?
He's 4.5 million. He's not guaranteed to start.
Look, boys, it's time to change this. It's fine. It's all good. Look, Pope's going to be there. So effectively, it's irrelevant.
Your team screams autocomplete.
Correct.
I'd be very careful about Roger Sanchez. Because I think Philip Jorgensen's going to be their starting keeper. Now, he's the same price, but I'm pretty confident he'll be the starter.
Okay. Never heard of him.
So,
I'll do a little swap.
okay, yeah, I would do.
Wow,
if I
you've
were
just...
you.
Are you doing it now, Ant? You've literally just believed what Mike said and you've gone,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
He played today, lads. Played today in a 1-1 draw, made 0 saves.
Amazing.
But did play. I would look at Jorgensen. If you're trying to put a Chelsea keeper in there, maybe pick one that's going to play.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a start.
There's my tip, guys. There's my tip this year. Pick
Thanks,
players that are
Mike.
going to play.
People who are going to start.
Okay, so
let's just we've all said our keepers now, yeah?
Yep.
Why don't we evaluate then? Give each team a score out of 10. So
Okay.
I'll talk you through mine again, lads. Raya or Areola in goal. A defence of Gabriel, Trent, Porro, Gvardiol, and Leif Davis. A midfield of Eze, Fernandez, Gordon, Diaz, and Semenyo. And a front three of Watkins, Solanke, and Isak. What are you giving it out of 10, lads?
I'm going 7. And I'll tell you for
Pathetic.
why.
I mean, that is
I'll tell you for why.
Yep.
I'm looking at your players and I'm thinking, yeah, they could pick up the odd goal. That's very good. I'm not seeing hauls. Big hauls. Hat
I'm
tricks.
seeing
I'm
hauls
not
all
seeing
over
it.
the shop.
I'm seeing maybe the odd goal. I'm not seeing big points. If they all have a good week, for sure, Dr. Dre, that's fine. But I do think you're going to miss out a lot. If someone goes big, you're going to take a massive drop.
I think it's only Haaland that I'm worried. I'm not worried about Salah in the slightest. I think it's only Haaland that I'm concerned about.
Okay, so as you're going to be in this position, say Haaland starts the season with 2 hat-tricks in a row.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Well, cry quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because
how
how will you get there? You'll have to. I mean, you will inevitably have wildcarded the moment game week 1 kicks off. But if what would you have to do? You'd have to you'd have to absolutely transform your team.
I'd have to lose my big at the back, wouldn't I? I'd have to lose my big at the back. I'd have to lose. I mean, 2 transfers I could do it in fairness.
Could you?
Could I? No, 3.
Yeah.
I'd have to take Trent out, either Gabriel or Gvardiol out, and I'd have to take Watkins out.
Yeah.
And I'd bring in Haaland, and I'd have 2 bench fodder in defence.
Conser and Quanser. Welcome.
But yeah, maybe. But I really like the balance of the team, and I think there's plenty there that that in theory I know what I'm like, lads. The old Tinker Man. but there shouldn't be any need for me to be making any transfers in the first few weeks there, because there's enough to be moving around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only player I really want, actually more than Haaland, I'd like to accommodate Foden. He's the one. He's the one at the moment where I'd actually like to find an extra million. If Trent starts, as I fear he might, I could save a couple of million there, and I could upgrade. Well, I could save $1 million there, and bring in a Saliba or another Man City defender, and I could swap out Fernandes for Foden. But yeah, there's a few options. I think Trent's probably going to be my first transfer, but we'll get the first few weeks out and see what happens.
How are you scoring
7 out
that
of 10
team,
from
man?
you, Phil.
Yeah.
What-
Just because I worry for you.
And Anthony, what are you giving that team?
I'm going to give that an 8. I'm going to go slightly higher. I think it's a good balance. My only concern would be for you, Mike, would be your midfield slightly, but I like the forwards. I like your defence, and the goalkeepers are good as well. So it's a good, strong team. Just midfield has possibly left you slightly light. But other than that, I think it's a good balanced team.
Okay.
Go on, then. Let's give us your team so we can rate you.
Oh, hang on. Where is it? Here it is. So we've got Pope in goal. Another keeper, Sanchez. Cucurella, Consa, Guardiol, Kirkes, and Taylor Harwood Bellis in defence.
Yes.
Son, De Bruyne, Gordon, Diego Jota, and Odegaard in midfield.
Sorry, you've got Son.
Yeah. We kind of glossed over Son. We glossed over that. But it's interesting because he's going to be back in his, what I would suggest is his preferred position of being on the left.
Yeah.
So
sorry, just that midfield again, Ant?
Son, De Bruyne, Gordon, Diego Jota, and Odegaard.
I love it. It's different. It's differential FC. I like it a lot.
Thank you. Yeah.
Jota. We had a question about Jota. Do we just want to cover that now?
I referenced it.
You referenced but didn't answer. So Bethany said, thoughts on Jota as the Liverpool attack for game week 1. I'm planning on selling him after. So
we'll see how he does.
Okay. Cheers, Ant. See how he does. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm not seeing many people talk about Darwin. I don't know what the situation is on Darwin at the moment, but I think if Jota's fit, he will start.
Yeah, I hope so. And I would agree with that.
Okay.
Jonathan 3.
Yeah.
Solanke, Isak, and he's having a party. It's Jamie Vardy.
Oh, God. That is... So your bench, Ant, feels a very weak bench.
It's an incredibly weak bench. If any of my starting 11 don't start,
so who's your bench?
Kirkes, Vardy, and Taylor Harwood Bellis.
Could get
it's a horrible bench. No offense, and I love Milosh, but it's a horrible bench.
It really is. I think that needs to change before the start of the season, but that's what I'm going with at the moment.
Okay, all right. Well,
scores out of 10 there, boys. Be kind.
I'm going to give it a 6.
Harsh.
Just I think there's a lack of movement. There's, we come into a season where we've just had it both Euros and a Copa America. You don't know who's going to be fit. You don't know who's going to be starting. And if any of your, primary players for whatever reason are decided to be benched early doors, you are screwed.
Something to look forward to.
Yet again, I find myself hearing your team and thinking you must have so much money in the bank.
Actually, 2 million. Right, let's utilise it. Here we go.
What?
Right. Let's go.
Why have you got 2 million sat in the bank? It doesn't gain interest, mate.
No, that's a good point there. Yeah, not quite sure. I've missed that out there, haven't I?
Yeah.
Right, let's change this live on air. Okay, Phil.
What you want? I would rate it 6 at the moment. You must have had some money held back. I don't understand why.
I don't know what's going on.
Well,
I can't believe we've come onto a pre-season podcast. You've picked your team. You've left 2 million in the bank.
Yeah, that's bonkers, isn't it? I'm changing it
Obviously
right now.
Assuming that you don't need anyone to step up and replace Jamie Vardy.
He can spend that on something else. Buy himself a nice car or something. I mean, very weird.
Yeah. Okay, boys, that's fine. I'll change it. Don't worry.
Right, let's see if Phil's 4 out of 10. Go on then, Phil.
So Pickford in goal. Then you've got a defence of Wout, Face, Johnson, Robinson, and obviously Konsa and Quansah, the dream team. I would probably be starting Konsa, and Robinson. Then my team gets better. From here on in, it gets better.
It needs
Morgan Rogers, Eze, Nkunku, Gordon, Salah, Solanke, Isak, Haaland. I mean, the
I
front
love that
eight is
you've.
pretty good.
Yeah, well, I don't know that they are actually, but I think two of them are particularly good. I mean, I think my worry is for that. I think you're investing a lot of money in Salah that you don't need to. I totally get the Haaland pick. I totally get it, and some of my
But I've
drafts.
explained this.
I know you have. I
He's
know
there
you
for
have.
2 games, and then I'll see who's starting for Liverpool, and then I'll have like a big barrel of £4 or £5 million that I can spend on someone else.
But you won't have the transfers to use. You'll only have 2 transfers.
Yeah, that's fine. So I can go Salah to, let's say, Jota. He's 7.5 million, is
And
he?
then you can make one other change.
Yeah, and that might be bad news for Wout Face because we might get Ben because we might get him back Ben White. You know, that's my thinking. I think once I know where the Salah money can go, then great. I'll improve my defense when I need to. At the start of the season, I want to be able to enjoy the games, very much watch what I can on TV and watch players trying to score. I don't want to be worrying about, oh goodness, they've conceded in the 89th minute. Look, you know what? If Anthony Robinson does that, then I'll live because I'm not expecting them to keep a clean sheet. But it's more exciting to watch attacking players, so I've gone all out attack this season.
I'm giving it a 5.5, mate. I think it's worse than Ants. Actually, no, it's not. Come on, that's not fair. I'll give it a 6.5. It's not. It's yeah.
Yeah.
I'm giving it
Okay.
a 6 for that. If mine's a 6, Phil, then so's yours. You've gone too big on the premiums there for me.
Well, it's
Well,
a win
we
for
should-
me. I mean, that's all really I wanted to get to.
I mean,
It's a bit like when
it
I was on
doesn't-
Come Dine With Me. I was just desperately trying to get myself up the leaderboard by scoring low.
But you didn't win. Come Dine With Me,
No, but I came an honourable third.
which is what you'll do on this podcast.
Time will tell, lads. Well, that's been a
Right.
lovely and comprehensive look at the season ahead.
Do you want
I'm
to see the
excited.
fixtures for game week 1?
Let's.
Who wants to read them out? Because we've heard enough of my voice.
It's tradition that Ant does it.
I'm more than happy to, boys. More than happy. So next Friday we start at Old Trafford. Manchester United home to Fulham. Saturday lunchtime. What a
Come on,
first
Anthony
game.
Robinson.
What a first game for Ipswich back in the Premier League. Welcome back for them. Presume they're going to have Marcus Stewart up front when they play Liverpool.
Oh, it's a lunchtime. It's a lunchtime kickoff. Klopp's not there anymore, is he? It'll be all right.
No, he'll be fine. Then we got Arsenal home to Wolves, Everton home to Brighton, Newcastle home to returning Southampton, Forest at home to Bournemouth, and we end the first Saturday with West Ham at home to Villa.
Oh, Morgan Rogers. Yeah, lovely. See, I'm already seeing some players I can watch. That's good. We got Robinson, we got Rogers. Okay, they're both on Sky. Right, what else we got?
Sunday, Brentford Palace, and then a big game for my birthday boys here, Chelsea against Manchester City. Ooh.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You see, this is it. You pick players that are going to be on TV and it makes fantasy football a lot more fun.
Talking of fun, we end with Leicester at home to Spurs. So hopefully Dominic Solanke will be in the goals there.
So, what about then? Because you boys have obviously the thing with having premiums is it's easier to pick your captains, right? I mean, if it's likely that Salah or Haaland will have a good fixture,
sure.
So pick one of them. So neither of you have got either of them. Who are you looking at captaincy for this week?
Isak for me.
Oh, look at that! Very good.
Look at that. Home to Southampton, or potentially Odegaard at home to Wolves, but I think it's going to be Isak.
But you won't be able to watch. You won't be able to watch that game, which does make it a bit rubbish having a captain in a game that you won't be able to watch.
We'll be able to watch anyway. We've got Sky.
Fair.
So for me, it's completely irrelevant.
And I quite like holding off to the last game of the game week for my captain, so I don't deeply regret captaining someone that's done rubbish right at the start of the game week and then have to wait. So I have got Solanke. So I mean that would be an outrageous punt away to Leicester, right?
Not really. No, I think it's a good shout.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like you're saying that because then if Haaland or Salah go big, you're not like, oh my goodness, next week I'm going to get slaughtered on the podcast.
Possibly.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you what I'm terrified of.
Wout Face.
What?
Wout Face.
Well, yeah, maybe a little bit. But actually, game week 2, not owning Haaland when Man City are home to Ipswich.
Well, this is a bit of planning. That's the problem. You boys have gone, oh, it's nice to have bang average squads. But this is the problem. When you've got big players with easy fixtures, I mean, that week, Salah's at home to Brentford and Haaland's at home to City.
Yeah, that does feel like an issue.
And you won't
I'm
be able
happy.
to afford them.
I'm happy. I'll go with what I've got.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Boys, do we want to end our first pod back with our punt shouts?
Oh, gosh.
Absolutely.
Okay, so shall we explain?
Picking a player here with under 2% ownership who we hope will haul, because it could mean that we might be picking one of the others' captains next week. So, Phil, who are you going for?
Oh, yeah, come to me when I've clearly completely forgotten that the punt is even a thing.
Amazing.
So if you could hold fire so I can even load the page up. I mean, just so you know, Quanzo is under 2% ownership if anyone is interested. So, be tempted to get that. Then when he does well for me, it won't hurt so much for you.
Okay, lovely. Mike?
But he isn't my punt. I'm suggesting him as your punt.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm a bit torn here, lads. I'll be honest, a bit torn. I'm going to go for the little man, Martinez from Man United, home to Fulham.
I'm going to go Dominic Calvert-Lewin at home to Brighton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If he starts.
Yeah, that feels bold. That feels bold, to be fair. I'm going to go for... Let's have a look here.
Keep scrolling.
Keep scrolling. I'm torn between James Ward-Prowse, because he's got multiple ways of picking up points, or Matoma, because I really missed him when he got injured last year. I'm going to go James Ward-Prowse.
Lads, I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind.
Go and Harvey
Can
Elliott.
you do that?
Go and Harvey Elliott, and I'm done with it.
Okay, I'm going Livramento.
Fine.
Anthony?
Fine.
Change your mind?
Nope. I'm sticking with DCL.
All right. Okay. If he scores, I'll give you the money myself. Absolute pleasure, lads, joining forces once again.
Indeed it is. But we've never been away.
Yeah. Thank you, gents. And thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed us, please do let people know. I mean, if you get to this stage, please let us know. Just anyway, it'll be a miracle. Just let us know. But yeah, have a great week, everyone. Enjoy game week 1 of fantasy football, being back again. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye now.